Call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. I want to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory and that the land on which we are meeting is the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. As a council and as a municipality, we will continue to work on moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. First, I'd just like to acknowledge that we have someone new around the table. We have Jared here, who's the acting Director of Utilities. Thank you, Jared. Awesome. I'll ask for an adoption of the minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on May 8th, 2023 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have no delegations this evening, but we do have public hearings. So our first public hearing, which I'll open, is for second and third reading of Bylaw 23-8751, Zoning Amendment PC 14-23, CHB Developments at 414 5th Street Northeast. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the zoning amendment. Sure, if you'd like to come to the podium and state your name for the record, please. Great, thank you, Mr. Beers. Is there anyone else in favor of the zoning amendment? Thank you. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak against the zoning amendment. No? Are there any letters to be read out either side?
No, there's no letters.
Thank you. So we will have this public hearing open. Does council have any questions of Mr. Beers or Planning District on this zoning? No, thank you. I will then ask for a motion to close the public hearing. That's City Planning and Economic Development. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for Bylaw 23-8751, Zoning Amendment PC 14-23 for CHB Developments, Inc. at 414 5th Street Northeast now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. And so we'll move into City Planning and Economic Development. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And as Madam Mayor referred to, there's a report to council there, and tonight is, if council proceeds, is for the second and the third reading of the bylaw. You'll notice that there's the same schedule and the same sketch that were there previously, and also the bylaw zoning amendment document itself for your reference. So back on March the 27th of 2023, the first reading was given, and what it was for is to rezone the property from R1, which is currently residential single-family zone, to an R2, which is residential two-family zone. When you're reading second reading, you can proceed with it based on a couple of different things, and this fits this situation at this point as well. So, So the background, as we discussed, is the property in question is for lots 8, 11, Block 1, Plan 365 in the parish of Portage la Prairie, which is presently zoned R1 for residential single-family zone. And the applicant, CHB Development, Inc., wishes to rezone this property to R2 residential two-family zone. The Portage la Prairie Development Plan policy states the following, and it fits within those categories. Because this is second reading, I won't review the entire document, but as of this writing, there have been no received written objections to the proposed rezoning scheme. and documents were circulated to provincial departments and agencies, and there have been no objections. Provincial planning recommended approval of the zoning bylaw amendment number 23-8751. So with that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the application to rezone the land known as 414 5th Street Northeast and legally described as lots 8, 11, Block 1, Plan 365, Parish of Portage la Prairie from R1, Residential Single Family Zone, to R2, Residential Two Family Zone, and that bylaw number 238751 be read a second time.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, second by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Meyer?
And so resolved, and I so move that bylaw number 23-8751 be read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We'll move into our second public hearing for second and third reading of bylaw 23-8752, zoning amendment PC 15-23, McCutcheon for 152 3rd Street Southeast. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the public hearing. Anyone here to speak against the public hearing? Any letters to be read out?
No, there are no letters.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council on the public hearing? Thank you. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for bylaw 23-8752, zoning amendment PC 15-23 from McCutcheon at 152 3rd Street Southeast now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we'll move into City Planning Economic Development. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. As we just discussed, this is second and third reading, similar to the first motion of the evening. And in front of you, you'll have the schedule, you'll have the sketch, and you'll also have a bylaw zoning amendment as well. First reading for this bylaw took place back on, I know it's here somewhere. March the 27th of 2023, and that started the process as defined in the Planning Act in considering this application. And the issue is to rezone the property from OR, which is open space or recreational zone, to R2 residential two-family zone. So as per the Planning Act, after considering results of the public meeting, council must within 90 days choose one of the three actions to deal with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. And that's where we start to give it second reading. Because it's second reading, I won't refer to all of the notes in the report, but same as before, the Portage la Prairie Development Plan policy states the following, and it does fit within that area. As of this writing, we have not received any written objections to the proposed rezoning scheme. The documents were circulated to provincial departments and agencies, and there have been no objections. Provincial planning recommended approval of zoning bylaw amendment number 23-8752. So with that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the application to rezone the land known as 152 3rd Street Southeast and legally described as Lot 14, Block 9, Plan 21-428, Parish of Portage la Prairie from OR, or Open Space Recreational Zone, to R2 Residential Two-Family Zone, and that bylaw number 23-8752 be read a second time.
That's moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments from council? All those in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I so move that bylaw number 23-8752 be read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We have one more public hearing this evening, and it's a request for variation PC 28-23, CHB Developments, Inc., for 414 5th Street Northeast. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the request. If you'd like to come to the podium and state your name, please.
Hi, Chris Biers, President CHB Developments, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have on this.
Thank you, Mr. Beers. Is there anyone here to speak against the request? And any letters to be read out?
No, there are no letters.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Beers at this time? No? Thank you. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing from Councillor Meyer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for variation PC 28-23, CHB Developments, Inc., 414 5th Street Northeast, now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, in front of you, you got a request for a variation. Anytime we go outside the current bylaw, there is a variation request. You will see that there's a site plan there on a small scale and then a much larger one so you can see the dimensions. So the issue, I was trying to get this smaller so I can read it. There we go. The issue, the request for variation for CHB Developments, Inc. is requesting that the front yard requirement, which is 7.5 meters, to be reduced to 4.57 meters in this case, and that the side yard requirement of 4.6 meters, when there's been no attached garage or carport, to be reduced to 3.6 meters on the north and the south sides. As always, the alternatives of this council is to approve the very application as presented or to deny the variation application. Background is CHB Developments is applying for a variation order to vary the following. As I just mentioned, the front yard requirement of 7.5 meters to be reduced to 4.57 meters, and that the side yard requirement of 4.6 meters with no attached garage or carport to be reduced to 3.6 meters on the north and south sides. Rationale is the applicant would like to build a duplex on the property. If you'll see there, the previous reference minutes that council has approved similar requests in the past, both at 402 and 405 5th Street Northeast. The existing 3 homes to the north of the property line are all within approximately 4.6 meters of the property line, and the applicant would like to keep the proposed duplex consistent with the neighborhood. So that you're aware, council, this is already in an R2 residential, which is considered a 2-family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments. There have been no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. And as you can see, there's been no objections. With that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of CHB Development, Inc. to vary the following. The front yard requirement of 7.5 meters to be reduced to 4.57 meters. The side yard requirement of 4.6 meters when no attached garage or carport to be reduced to 3.6 meters on the north and south sides at the property known as 414 5th Street Northeast, which is legally described as lots 811, Block 1, Plan 365 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments? I think I'd just like to make a comment, since we do have the developer in our midst here today, is that as council, I know we're grateful when developers decide to do infill development in our community, and we appreciate that because we do know housing is something that we're always hoping to expand, and having housing and duplexes, for which we would call affordable housing, is great. So we're appreciative of developers that do that. So thank you. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay. We'll move into Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has nothing at this time in the meeting.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning Economic Development Committee has nothing else to report.
Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Community Services Committee has nothing to report in council tonight.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing to report at this point in the meeting, but we will later. Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report till further down under new business.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety has nothing to report in the meeting tonight.
Thank you. We have no deferred business, so we'll move right into new business. We have first reading of amending borrowing bylaw 23-8756 for Phase 2 of Saskatchewan Avenue West. Finance, Legislative and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship and colleagues. This evening, the issue is to obtain approval for amending bylaw 23-8756, a bylaw to authorize borrowing for 2023, the second year of the Saskatchewan Avenue West project. And of course, our alternatives is to approve the amending bylaw or to not approve it. Phase 2 of the Saskatchewan Avenue West project will continue in 2023 and is expected to be completed in 2024, and a great project it'll be when it's completed. This project includes new land drainage systems, updating the paved avenue with new asphalt, adding curbs and medians, installing climate-friendly infrastructure, paths, greenery, sidewalks, bike lanes, and appropriate parking spaces. The project is funded under the Investing in Canada Infrastructure program through a combination of federal, provincial government grants, as well as up to $13.739 million in municipal borrowing by the city. The city's cost of the 2023 work on Phase 2 is projected at $9.27 million, and this will be funded primarily through a debenture of $8.3 million. And the balance will be funded by the remaining funds from the debenture procured in 2022 that were not expensed in the year due to reduced contingency costs. The Municipal Board has approved the combined total of $13.739 million for borrowing for Phase 2 of the project on February 4th, 2022. Amending the bylaws are used for each debt advance of these funds, which confirm the actual payments and rate of borrowing for the specific advance. And just want to reiterate again for council that we, through great planning of the previous council and administration, we had no tax increase in our financial plan associated with Saskatchewan Avenue. And I think that's for a size of project of this, it's a real accomplishment for our city. So the administrative recommendation for tonight is that bylaw 23-8756, being a bylaw of the city of Portage la Prairie, to procure $8,350,000 in municipal borrowing for Phase 2 of the Saskatchewan Avenue project, be given first reading.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Doyle?
I'd just like to say after seeing everything torn up, it's exciting to see in the past week some curbs going up between 4th Street and 8th Street. It's just exciting to see the facelift start to happen now.
Agreed. Anything else? All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Another item of new business, we have the tender award for the supply of treatment chemicals for the water treatment plant. That is Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. And council, in front of you, what we have here is the tender award for the supply of water treatment plant chemicals. So the issue here is to award a 12-month contract for the supply of various chemicals for the water treatment plant, as specified in tender number 23 OPS 018. Alternatives: award the contract to the bidders as recommended below, or do not award the contracts. The analysis was the tender was posted on MERC's website and electronically posted on the city's website. The tender closed at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. 16 copies of the tender were sent out, and 8 submissions were received for the following. Now, what we tendered out here is there's a very good list of submissions by. You're going to see that there's 8 different companies that tendered on 11 different chemicals. The contract is to supply the water treatment plant chemicals for a period of 12 months from June 1st, 2023 to May 31st, 2024, and should be used for each individual chemical. Bidders are required to guarantee submitted prices until May 31st, 2024. One bidder submitted a no bid form. The tender has followed the procurement processes that incorporate substantially and best value bid. The rated criteria was set and what is set at 10 points maximum for sustainability factors and 90 points for pricing for a total of 100 points. The administrative recommendation indicates the bidders with the highest rating for each chemical. Some chemicals are only shipped in bulk quantities and are in some cases we must purchase more than required quantities. For other chemicals, we have significant inventory on site, and a 12-month supply has not been tendered. So the total combined cost for the 2023 tendered chemicals is $2,137,807.50. The budgeted amount was $2,272,769. Chemicals have seen a severe inflation, and we've talked about that in the past and adjusted our budgets to cover this because we knew that it's been projected. We hope that we see some leveling here, and that's the short-term pieces that we thought we'd look at, and this is a 12-month period is what we're looking at now. In the last 2 years or more, we've seen a 45% overall increase. So the administrative recommendation is that the city, the council of the city of Portage la Prairie award contracts for the supply of treatment chemicals for the water treatment plant for a 12-year period as specified in tender 23 OPS 018 to the following companies for the respective chemical product for their submitted tendered price excluding GST as follows. For lime, the company is Graymont Western Lime Incorporated for a tender price of $1,090,289.50. Chemical number 2 is potassium permanganate to ClearTech Industries for the tender price of $14,568. Chemical number 3 is chlorine to Brentag Canada Incorporated for the tender price of $89,950. Fluoride is Clearwater Equipment and Technologies for a total tender price of $40,200. Polyaluminum chloride high is to Clearwater Equipment and Technologies for $75,060. Polyaluminum chloride low, Border Chemical Company Limited for a tender price of $232,000. Phosphoric acid to Brentag Canada Incorporated for $67,340. Sodium hydroxide to Brentag Canada Incorporated for a tender price of $344,500. Dry anionic polymer to Northland Chemical Incorporated for $41,700, and calcium thiosulfate to ClearTech Industries for $35,400. Number 11, the last of the 11, is cationic coagulant to Northland Chemical Incorporated for a tender price of $106,800. Now I'm just going to slip back here. And I so move that the City of Council award this as these prices indicate for the 12-month period.
Thank you. Just to clarify, in the beginning you said 12 years, so
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Just for record, we just want to correct that. And then for future, you can say list as presented to save yourself.
I will on the next one.
He did so good. I know. For the next one. Moved by Councillor Nichols.
Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just thinking about this when we received the package there a couple of days ago, that And Councillor Wall, for of course those that remember, was our water guy, and he always talked about this stuff like it was a piece of his heart. We don't always realize that when we just turn on the tap, we get clean, fresh, safe, healthy water. And I mean, we're one of the few countries in the world that really can say that. So when we do pay our utility bills, and I know it always hurts when you see sometimes the rates go on, but it's because of costs like this and the things that happen that really drive some of those rates. So I really just wanted to bring attention to it, that the amount of dollars that the city does spend in order to make sure that we've got that, and of course the job that the water treatment and wastewater treatment plant people do is second to none. So I certainly support the administrative recommendation and understand, of course, the cost increases that go along with it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. And maybe a question for Mr. Smith. So we've seen a 45% increase in this. Have you had any, and as you can tell, we budgeted fairly well for predicting those costs, but have you had any indication from your suppliers, et cetera, if we might see a leveling out so that we're not seeing another increase next year? Oh, and you just need to use your microphone, sorry.
In the last, this last contract, there was several chemicals that did drop in price.
Oh, good.
So that's good news. So actually, this particular tender,
Can you move the mic a little closer?
sorry, this
sir?
particular tender, the tender was, the chemicals actually showed a decrease of 3%, but it's still about 45% from 2021.
Yeah.
So there is movement in the right direction, and inflation seems to be going down. Some suppliers have commented that trucking costs are very variable right now, and that is one of the bigger factors to their pricing right now, is they're having to pad their tender a little, add in a little extra just to make sure that the trucking costs are covered on their end.
Perfect. So there's more to potassium permanganate than just the chemical, it's the supply chain, eh? Yeah.
For sure.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We will move into the tender award for the supply of treatment chemicals for the water pollution control facility. Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Worship and Council. I will use the list as provided, but I do enjoy pronouncing them best my ability, and although I don't have to go through it, anyways, thank you for that. So Waterworks Committee and Council, what we have in front of us here is the tender award for the supply of treatment chemicals for the water pollution control facility. And the issue is to award the 12-month contract for the supply of various chemicals for the water pollution control facility as specified in tender number 23 OPS 017. And the keyword is various chemicals here. So alternatives: award the contract to the bidders as recommended below, or do not award the contract. I will go through the analysis. Tenders is to supply treatment chemicals for the water treatment control facility for a period of 1 year from June 1st to 2023 to May 31st, 2024. The tender was posted on Merck's website and advertised on the city's web page. 14 copies were sent out and 4 submissions were received. The tender closed at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 9th. 1 bid was received after the deadline and was disqualified. The contract award is to be issued for each individual chemical based on the 12-month pricing for the bidder and the most points. And then as we go down through the chemical, the table is listed here for magnesium oxide, sodium hypochlorite, sodium hydroxide, and those are the chemicals that we're talking about. So it is the administrative recommendation, and that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie award contracts for the supply of the treatment chemicals of the water pollution control facility for a 12-month period as specified in tender 23 OPS 017 to the following companies for the respective chemical product for their submitted tender price, excluding GST, as follows. For magnesium oxide, Univar Solutions Canada, the tender price is $129,600. Sodium hypochlorite to Brentag Canada Incorporated for the tender price of $112,350. And for sodium hydroxide to Univar Solutions Canada Limited for the tender price of $8,988. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Councillor Nichols.
You're welcome.
We will move into the tender award for the 2023 pavement program. That's Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is the awarding of the 2023 tender for 2023 pavement program. The issue is to award the tender for the pavement program. The alternative is to award the tender to Messington Construction Limited or do not award the tender. Background on this is the tender for the 2023 pavement contract was advertised in Merck's, Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, Winnipeg Construction Association, and the city website. Tenders were distributed digitally to 6 contractors, and the tender closed on May 16th of 2023 with only one bid that was received as follows. That was the Messington Construction Limited. The bid price was $658,518. They scored 97.50 points out of 100, and that was GST included. This tender has followed the procurement process that incorporates sustainability factors. The ratings were based on a total possible 100 points, awarded with 10 points for sustainability factors and 90 for pricing. The evaluation does not consider factors such as experience, qualifications, ability to perform the work, nor past performance. Messington Construction schedule anticipates the start date of June 1st of 2023. However, it will take some time after the award to obtain the performance bond and finalize a contract. So the 2023 pavement contract includes the following work. 6th Avenue North from Tupper Street North to 4th Street Northwest. Lorne Avenue East from intersection of 10th Street Northeast. 14th Street Northeast from Saskatchewan Avenue East approach. Then the Meehan Avenue path from Melco Drive to Rose Street. Then there's 8th Street Southwest from Crescent Road West to Saskatchewan Avenue West. And then finally 6th Street Northwest from 6th Avenue to 7th Avenue. The overlay program, the 2023 overlay program budget is for $632,000 and the contract tender price of $627,160 net of GST is within budget. So the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the 2023 pavement contract as specified in Tender 23 OPS 019 to Messington Construction Limited for the tender price of $620,160 net of GST.
Moved by Councillor Porter, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments? Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship, and maybe the chair or the administration can answer. There was one bid for this work. Is that normal right now in the industry, or what's happening right now with only getting one bid for this work?
Mr. Pito?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Massey, it can vary year to year. Councillor Massey, we have received up to 4 bids in the past. This business is very capital intensive, and there seems to be fewer and fewer players that can competitively bid, and there's also a lot of work to go around. So this is, I can't remember if last year did we have one bid? One bid last year, but this is 2 years in a row receiving one bid. That is concerning because you do like to see competitive price in a procurement process, and but this has happened over the last 2 years where we've gotten one bid. That being said, there is another pavement organization in our community doing a substantial amount of work, and they may be taxed, and traditionally they have bid in the past. So purely speculation at this point, but it's probably something we'll reach out after this contract has closed and just check in with our pavement partners to see if there's any challenges with their bid process or if they have any concerns, and try and address those so we continue to have a competitive process.
Councillor Massey?
Thank you to our city manager. The other question, just for my own curiosity, the list of streets and the priorities for this year, how is that determined? Is it sort of through our asset management plan? Do we look at sort of just a little bit of how administration comes forward with what specific streets are done? I think it'd be helpful, at least for myself anyway.
Mr. Pito?
Through your worship to Councillor Massey, that's an excellent question. I'll ask our Director of Operations to outline our process so Council has a clear idea how we prioritize our streets.
Yes, so every year we do an assessment of all our streets. We give them a rating. So the ones that score the lowest on the rating are the ones that we prioritize for repair. Often we will pave where we've done water and sewer work because we've torn up the road for that. Also, we prioritize streets that are truck routes or main arteries as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments? No? I have one question because I often get asked on it. There is a piece of road coming off of our Causeway, Crescent Road, the east side, and that's not on the list, and so I thought I would take the time to ask the question, so I have an answer. Mr. Pito.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll pass that on to our Director of Operations to speak to.
Yes, that one is definitely in our sights as needing repair. With the work going on Saskatchewan Avenue, we had thought that it might not be the best summer to do it. In addition, there is some water and sewer work that needs to be done on that stretch before we can do the paving.
Okay, good to know. Mr. Pito?
If I may add, operations is very aware of the condition of that road, and they are going to stay on top of it as best we can to patch it over this year, and then our plan is to address it as soon as possible in the next pavement year.
Excellent. And just one more comment. I think the addition of the Meehan Avenue path from Bridge Road to Cocoa Platts Community Club will be excellent. Welcome. That road does not have a sidewalk on it, and it's a busy street. So I know the Active Transportation Committee will be happy to hear that too. So perfect. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We have one item of old business, third reading of Utility Rates Bylaw 22-8748, Finance, Legislative and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship and colleagues. Tonight we are looking at second and third reading of for amending bylaw 22-8748. This is to give the alternative, of course, is to either approve amending the bylaw for utility rates or to deny amending the bylaw. You may recall in 2022, Way to Go Consulting was hired to complete a review of the current utility rates, and due to the significant increase in the cost of processed chemicals, which we just saw firsthand, that the utility has seen over the past 2 years, and the expenses associated with the construction and ongoing operating and maintenance costs of the new Poplar Bluff Reservoir, it was determined that an increase in rates would be necessary for the utility to be able to meet the funding targets established in 2020 utility rate study. Bylaw 22-8748 proposes an increase of 8.7% to water rates and 0.6% to wastewater rates previously approved by the Public Utilities Board. And that's very important that the board has already approved of these rates effective July 1, 2023. So the impact on a household using 40 cubic meters of water per billing cycle is an increase of $7.20 per bill. The Public Utilities Board has approved the city's revised rates, as I mentioned, effective July 1, 2023, and resulting increases on January 1, 2024 and 2025. And Council may recall that we gave the bylaw 22-8748 second reading on April 11th, 2023, but we held off and deferred on third reading because we wanted to ensure the major industries were given an opportunity to consult with the Public Utilities Board regarding the rate increase. And just a level of caution that we took, I think it was a wise move by council to make sure we were very transparent and had the industries an opportunity to comment on these. Administration therefore sent letters to the major industries informing them of the Public Utility Board's decision to approve the revised rates. There were no responses received from the industries regarding the rate increase. Additionally, the Public Utilities Board's notice of decision was posted in 5 prominent locations in the city and was advertised in the Graphic Leader on April 27th and May 11th, 2023. So you can see we certainly made sure that we were very open and transparent with these new rates for our water. And therefore, I'm prepared to move. Administration is recommending that bylaw number 228748 be given third and final reading, finally passed, signed, and sealed, and that the city implements the amended rates effective July 1, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Anything final on this? All those in favor? And those are approved. Thank you. We'll adjourn council at 6:41 p.m. and we will move right into committee. I'll call committee to order at 6:41 p.m. Start with Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has no report in committee this evening.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee does have nothing to report. Sorry, that was double negative. Has nothing to report in committee tonight, but I would like to just leave the table open for a second. If there's any of my colleagues that sit on any committees that deal specifically with either of those chairs, and you do want to bring something forward or a bit of a report, certainly feel free to do so at this time.
Nothing? Oh, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe this falls under your committee, Councillor Meyer. As the mayor has appointed me the rep for the Chamber of Commerce liaison, and I just wanted to report. Of course, we have regular meetings with the mayor and our city manager and myself with the chamber, the Portage Chamber, but I also attend their board meeting and give an update on council business and any questions that they may have. And I just want to say, Your Worship, that really pleased that the relationship we have with the chamber. We've talked a lot about Saskatchewan Avenue. We've talked a lot about economic development, tourism, and I found the meetings we have with them, they come forward with very good agenda items. We have good discussions, and their board meeting is very good. And last meeting, I did speak to the public hearing on our financial plan for them to have any comments on it and certainly answer any questions they have, and certainly issues around our bylaw work on vehicle for hire came up and so on that we're working on. But the nice thing is that with a group like them, that we're actually working on a number of issues with them together, and it's not a confrontational. It's a good working collaboration, and I just wanted to report to council as your rep on the chamber board that I'm very impressed with the work that both the city and the chamber are doing together for the betterment of our city. So, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Massey, and it does go without saying that the Chamber is a well-respected organization within our community, and it really is our connection to the business community, so we always know how important the business community is to us, so we really appreciate that relationship. So thank you for that, Councillor Massey, really appreciate that. If there's nothing else, that would be the end of my committee report. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Community Services Committee. Councillor Doyle.
Community Services Committee has nothing to report in committee tonight, unless anyone else has anything to add.
Yeah, I think I'll ask our youth counselor to maybe give us an update on an event she has coming up. Give her the time to shine.
Yes, so me and a few of my classmates
Can you move a little closer there, Paige? Sorry, thank you.
So a few of my classmates and I are hosting a 5K family walk/run on June 3rd. It starts at 10 in the morning on the island at the bandstand. And so really it's to bring out families so they can bond in an outdoor environment. And we're also collecting funds for the Family Resource Center because they do a lot for our community. So come on out and walk or run if you'd like on June 3rd.
Our dogs welcome.
You can bring your well-behaved dogs on leashes, as well as strollers.
Thanks, Paige. Awesome. Thank you. I just thought I'd maybe check with PCRC if they had anything. Thanks, Mary.
PCRC is very excited for our partnership with the City of Portage for giveaway days on June 3rd and 4th. So this is the first time the City of Portage is doing it, so it is citywide. You can put your unwanted items out on the curb, and then you can also drive around the community to see if there's anything you'd like to pick up. Please post a free sign with your items and make sure they're gently used. And then take them away from the curb if no one's picked them up at the end of day Sunday.
Thank you. Exciting. Mary, do you have any information on Touch a Truck, maybe? Yep.
Yes, Touch a Truck is happening on Thursday from 4 to 6 at the BDO. And there will be free hot dogs, and lots of businesses are taking part in it. Along with the city, we'll have some vehicles there. So it's always lots of fun for the kids.
Thank you. Yep, Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question, Mary, on the community cleanup. Of course, there's a lot of activity around that and publicity. How is that going? Are you still doing it? And how do you feel it's gone so far?
We ran it for 2 weeks. We also had staff go out and do pickup. I also went out and did pickup. So we went out one morning, and I think we got 6 bags with just staff one morning. We had a lot of community members participate, some businesses, and there was, lots of kids and families partook in it. We always do it spring and fall for 2 weeks and offer supplies. So if somebody calls us and still wants to partake, we'll give them supplies, but we did close the contest.
And just on that, I do appreciate that they moved the dates up a little early because we knew we were going to have an influx of visitors to start early. So I appreciate you doing that. That was great. Anything else for community? No. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing in committee to report at this time.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report in transportation. Thank you, in committee.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a query. This is kind of just a bit of a tag on. I know it's really unrelated to our paving tender, our yearly paving tender, but this time of year, obviously things come up, and of course it's pothole season. We all know that, and I'm just kind of wondering maybe where we're at with that, the pothole situation in the city. I know that we have cold fill that we put in the winter time, and that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we use a different type of a fill in the summertime. I know there's certainly a number of potholes that are still open around the city, and I know residents have done a great job in trying to put in a service request, and I know that the city has prioritized them, and they've been working diligently on them, and some have been great. But can you just kind of give us an update as to where we're at with that, and just kind of how that process works throughout the summer?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Meyer, I will pass that on to our Director of Operations to talk about the process between seasons for filling potholes and give us an update on where we're at.
Yes, so you're right. In the spring, late winter, we do use cold mix to get a head start on all those potholes. We're still doing them now. There's, it seems to be that the frost boils are just starting to settle down. There's still a lot. It was a really tough winter on the roads, so we have a lot to do this year. Later on in the summer, we use the hot asphalt for doing repairs of lots of places around town, some bigger ones, but anything really big we put in our pavement contract, but the smaller areas that need repairing, we do that with our own crews through the summer.
Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Worship. And just a quick follow-up to that, there's also some areas where there's some of the pavement is kind of pulling apart. It's not really
Frost
a
boil.
pothole situation, right? As you know, maybe like on the corner of Park Avenue there and so on. And I'm just wondering exactly what do we do in order to repair that? It's obviously not part of our paving contract, and it's really not a pothole situation, but
Yes, we also have a crack sealing program. So we have a like a tarry type material that we use. That we do that usually when it's warmer out is the best time to do it. We usually spend a few weeks on that with a crew going out and putting that material in all of our cracks to seal them up. That helps to stop water getting in, which makes the cracks worse, especially over the winter. So.
Great, thank you. And just one thing I would encourage the public is we do have a reporting system for potholes. And I know often you think, oh, the city probably already knows about that, but maybe they don't. So it doesn't hurt to make that report for sure. Great. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a few things to mention tonight. The first one I will get into is regarding the authorization of the extension of the bylaw enforcement contract with Serious Protection and Security Services. Just a heads up to council, we'll be discussing it at the next meeting. Just to extend our 1-year clause rather than retender at this time. There's a little bit of an increase with regards to inflation, but that'll be coming up next council meeting. We'll discuss that. The other thing I wanted to mention was the COPP program, which I sit on the board for, is actually in the middle of training 9 new recruits that they got from the Crime Prevention Forum, which is very, very big for that program. So 9 is a big number for a program like that. So we're very excited about that. I might have more to say next committee meeting after our COPP meeting at the end of this month. And the last thing I'd like to mention is today is May 23rd, and today is the 150th anniversary of the RCMP in Canada. On this day in 1873, it was the day that the Northwest Mounted Police began providing services to Canadians. The name was later changed to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the RCMP are widely recognized around the world for their quality policing that they provide. And I just want to mention the City of Portage la Prairie is appreciative of the strong relationship we have with the RCMP, and we thank all of the members, past and present, who have served in our community. That is all I have for public safety tonight. If anyone else has anything to mention, feel free.
I'll comment on the RCMP. Absolutely, it's important to recognize 150 years of service. I'm very appreciative of all they do. We have a lot of great members in this community and a lot who've passed through. It's been a tough go for law enforcement in our country in the last while, and I think celebrating them is important, and they definitely do a great job for us. So thanks to them. And so that Rose doesn't get mad at us, Thursday, June 8th, there is a COPP barbecue at the co-op from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is their annual barbecue. It's $5 for a hot dog, chips, and water. Extra hot dogs are $2. So that is sponsored by the River Road Co-op. So head out there and support them.
Correct. The River Road Co-op gas bar.
Perfect. Anything else for public safety? Councillor Massey?
Just a question, maybe, I'm not sure, to you, Your Worship, or to Councillor Doyle. Inspector Peddle mentioned in the media maybe the potential of another crime event or session like we had earlier, hopefully getting a larger crowd at the next one. Is there any more on that? Is there something in the fall maybe going to be happening, or any thoughts what they may be thinking for another session?
The media was the first I'd heard of it. So I actually had that on my list too to find. I don't know any more details yet.
Yeah, I was going to get some more details and bring that to committee at the next meeting.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Before we adjourn committee tonight, I just have one more thing that I want to talk about, and that is we just ended a major event in our city here, the Centennial Cup, which was the National Hockey Championships for junior hockey, for those of you who don't know. We had 10 teams come to our city from across the country, all the way from the Maritimes to Alberta. And we couldn't be happier with how things went. The host committee did a fantastic job with what they've done. The volunteers in our committee are, well, we already know, are beyond amazing, and they just showed that again in these last 10 days. But I thought I'd share a few things of what people have said about our community. So this was from Ted Gooch. He says, "Hello, residents of Portage la Prairie. My name is Ted Gooch, and I'm the president of the Timmins Rock. We recently competed in the Centennial Cup. I wanted to send a big thank you to your town. Everyone was so great. From dining at restaurants, our hotel, the Microtel, our host Blaine, and many others. Everyone we met was so kind and supportive. Your town is very clean and very friendly. We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves and your hospitality. We hope to visit again one day." We had this one in the graphic leader. "Portage was awesome this year. Everything was really well run, and the tournament was supported in terms of fans and the community. Everyone was really nice to us, from the restaurants to the hotel. I don't think we could have asked for a better community to host this. I was here in this was another comment from another person. I was here in 2015 with the Melfort Mustangs, and the tournament has doubled in size. But I think the passion and the community support has probably doubled here in Portage as well." This is from Brandon Crow of Communications for Hockey Canada. "We had volunteers tripping over each other to help in every capacity. The hotels were great, and the community just had an unbelievable response. It's twice as much work with 10 teams as it was with 5, but I think the city of Portage is leaving with gold stars from everyone." And the last comment that made me chuckle is I had asked somebody, and I said, "Have you heard anything from people in the community?" And they started out with saying, they said, "Yeah, well, I was in Walmart, and I saw a guy look like maybe an official or maybe a hockey coach or something, and they were on their phone." Just the way they started, I was like, oh, here we go, here we go. And they said, they were on the phone talking to somebody, and they said, "Yeah, and their arena, it's right on the lake. It's incredible." So I just want to give a big kudos to everyone involved. Thank you to all of council and everyone from the city who took the time out to drop pucks. It was, I think we had the perfect sponsorship, being the volunteer sponsors that we were. And it was a great few days. Now everybody can relax and get ready, because we have the seniors coming next month. So kudos to all. Thank you. And I'll adjourn committee at 6:58 p.m. Have a great evening, everyone.